Hello, fellow food lovers. Today I will be making Chinese beef satay with mung bean vermicelli. You will need half a pound of beef, one bell pepper, half of a medium onion, 5 small bundles of mung bean vermicelli, about 200 grams, and 2 green onions. For the sauce, you're going to need 1 teaspoon chicken powder, 1 teaspoon sesame oil, 1 tablespoon oyster sauce, 1 tablespoon soy sauce, 1 tablespoon bottled Chinese satay sauce, and 1 tablespoon minced garlic. For the beef marinade, you will need Chinese white pepper, Chinese cooking wine, soy sauce, sesame oil, and cooking oil. Okay, so I have half a pound of beef, thinly sliced. I'm going to marinate it now. So I'm going to sprinkle on some Chinese white pepper, some Chinese cooking wine, some soy sauce, some sesame oil, and a bit of cooking oil. I'm gonna mix the sauce into the meat using my fingers. Okay, I have 2 green onions. I'm gonna slice it up. So generally you put green onions into a dish at the very end because you don't need to cook it very long at all. In fact, you don't have to cook it at all. It could be eaten raw. So it's more like a garnish more than anything, but it gives a nice kind of oniony flavor, a kind of fresh oniony flavor to the dish. Okay, so I have 2 pieces of garlic. I'm gonna mince it up. So I smash it with the side of the knife and then I mince. I have a half of an onion here, so I'm going to slice it into thin slices. I cut the slices in half so that it doesn't seem too long and stringy in the dish. And I have a bell pepper, so I'm going to cut into thin slices. You don't have to, you actually can't eat the guts that are inside, so you got to pull it out before you clean the bell pepper and cut it. So I cut into strips, and then I cut it in half length across the center. Okay, we'll start cooking. So I'm going to pour 2 tablespoons of oil into a hot wok. Then we're going to cook the beef first. So you only have to cook the beef maybe 3/4 of the way through because we're going to finish it off with the veggies. So you want to give it a stir every once in a while, make sure everything's evenly cooked and that both sides of the beef are cooked as well. Okay, so a few minutes have come by. You can notice that the color of the beef has changed. It's about maybe 3/4 of the way cooked now. So we're gonna take it out, set it aside. Okay, I'm gonna wash the wok, get it ready for the veggies. So the wok's nice and hot and dry now. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. I'm gonna add the garlic first. You want to stir the garlic for a little bit, maybe 30 seconds in the hot oil, so it kind of infuses kind of a garlic flavor into the oil. That kind of helps it develop the sauce. Okay, so I'm going to add the onions now. So you want to cook the onions and the garlic until the onion and garlic are kind of a light brown color, and then we can add the green peppers. So beef satay, or Chinese beef satay, is kind of a Cantonese dish. It's actually a Cantonese take on satay, which is from Indonesia and Malaysia, but it's not quite the same as Indonesian or Malaysian satay. It's kind of the Chinese take on it. So there's a special bottled satay sauce that's manufactured by Lee Kam Kun that okay, so I'm going to add the green peppers. That has kind of a spicy and a kind of woodsy taste to it, and that's the Chinese take on satay. So that's the sauce that we're going to use to flavor this dish. You can't make it by yourself, at least I don't know how to make it. It's a bottled sauce that you can buy in an Asian supermarket. There's different brands, but the most famous is probably Lee Kam Kun. Okay, so now we're going to add water. We're going to actually add 5 cups of water to this. 1 cup of water for each little packet of mung bean vermicelli. So each little packet weighs 40 grams. So for 5 cups of water, we're going to add 200 grams of mung bean vermicelli. And with this particular brand, it equals 5 packets. So we're going to season with oyster sauce, 1 tablespoon. Yeah, so you need 1 cup of water for every 40 grams of the mung bean vermicelli. Okay, so we're going to add 1 tablespoon of soya sauce. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of chicken powder. So this is the bottled satay sauce that's used for Cantonese satay dishes. And pardon me, the company's name is Lee Kam Ki, and they're famous for the oyster sauce, but they also manufacture a brand of satay sauce. I'm going to also add 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. The sesame oil goes really well with the satay sauce. It kind of complements each other. Yeah, so this dish, so beef satay, it's usually beef that's cooked with green peppers and onions. And sometimes it's just served like that, beef, green peppers, and onions in a satay sauce. Or it could also be served with mung bean vermicelli like I'm doing now. So it's kind of a bit of a noodle dish with a satay flavor. Okay, so this is the mung bean vermicelli. Each little packet is about 40 grams. So we're putting 5 of those in there. So we waited until the water came to a boil, so you can see it's boiling now, and then that's when we add the noodles. So you wait a few minutes until it kind of softens up and you can stir it and break it up. So there's different ways of cooking mung bean vermicelli, which is also known as glass noodles. I think this way with a water ratio, 1 cup of water to 40 grams of noodles, and boiling it seems to be the easiest way to do it that I've had success with. Okay, so once the noodles are pretty much cooked, so this is like 5 minutes later, once most of the water's gone and the noodles are all saturated, then you can add the beef and the green onions. So don't add the beef and the green onions until most of the water is gone, so absorbed into the noodles. So you have very little water in the wok right now. It's very dry. It's just wet enough that it doesn't burn the noodles and have it stick to the bottom of the wok. Okay, so you want to stir the beef and the green onions into the noodles. Okay, once it's done, I'm going to transfer it over to the wok, or transfer from the wok to the serving dish after the heat's been turned off. This recipe results in a pretty big portion, so this is almost like a double portion, probably twice what you would get in a restaurant. So this dish has a slight spicy and woodsy taste to it. Okay, bon appetit.